Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to QuickBooks Labs. This is your QuickBooks podcast to tell you all about the world of QuickBooks. We aim to go live the first or last week of the month, depending when we've really bothered to put it on the socials, to be honest. And we hang around these microphones, talk about your latest news, tips and tricks with the world of QuickBooks and accountancy. And boy, do we have some stuff to talk about today. In fact, today it's going to be a very special episode for a certain a supplier that or vendor you might see just here. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Patrick, a chartered accountant, owner of an accounting firm called Boffix, QuickBooks certified trainer, and fancy logo, that QuickBooks shop on the internet, and also a talker on a load of stages. So with me is Charlie. Charlie, how has your month been? And last time we were speaking, we're lucky enough to be on the main stage of QuickBooks Connect, weren't we? It seems like a lifetime ago.
That's also last time we were speaking on this pod
on the QuickBooks Labs, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That is, yes, it was. That was very, very good. And then, since then, of course, there's been the first FAB, the Festival of Accounting and Bookkeeping. And then we've got the Digital Accountancy Show coming up. So anyway, it's all exciting times for events. But anyway, I am Charlie Khan. I am a chartered accountant based in West London and a long-time QuickBooks user. I've been using QuickBooks since the old desktop version in about, 20 years ago, probably. I used one of the early, I think maybe 2006, 2004, something like that. I started using QuickBooks.
Yep.
Something like that. So a long time. Yeah.
So you spoke about FAB. How did you find FAB? Was it fabulous?
It was fab. Yeah, it was very good. It's sort of the new name, the new iteration of the accounting web. I forgot what they used to call their event. It used to be in Coventry in sort of last weekend of November, first weekend of December. They've now moved it rather sensibly, I think, probably to March, the first sort of big event of the year. And it was just down the road from Coventry in sunny Birmingham at the NEC. I thought it was a very, very good event. 2 days of great talks, great, people giving us all sorts of information, whether it's about different software tools or talking about kind of ways that one can run one's practice, marketing tools and all sorts of techniques for boosting your practice, and a lot of great vendors around. It's, not as crazily busy as the huge events like Accountex, which means it was easier to get around and talk to the vendors. They have more time to talk. So I thought it was a very, very good event to go to. I'd certainly recommend people went next year if you're anywhere not too far from Coventry, because it's certainly an event worth going to.
Yeah, it was a good one. And QuickBooks were there in force. Vendors. Another vendor we might be talking about later was in force as well. Yeah, it was good event, wasn't it? Very good event. Right, let's quickly go through all of the admin here so we can get on with today's show, because we have got a cracker installed. In fact, we're really excited to be showing you a new product update from someone as well. So that's what we want to go for first of all. So first of all, we are live to the world of our regular time of 4:30 p.m. UK time. So if you listen back to this later time, then why not think about joining us live? That way you can get involved with the show and ask us some burning questions using the chat box, which includes people like Kirsty saying hi. So hi, Kirsty, and hello to everyone else who has joined us live as well. Yeah, so if you got a chance to join us there. If not, why not think about just subscribing to our podcast itself, which is live on every single podcast service around the world, and fingers yours. So our agenda for today's show is as follows. First of all, we got some little public service announcements, some quick updates have happened to the world of QuickBooks, and then we're going to be talking about some updates that are coming along in the US. I'm going to see if they think they're going to affect us, Charlie, and see if that's something we should be excited for. And then we're going to have a deep dive into a particular product that we're really excited to talk about. So first and foremost, a bit of a public service announcement, bit of a let's make sure everybody is aware of this one. But if let me see how I can show this easily. Let me just quickly go into work papers and show my screen. But if you are not aware, then when you head to the QuickBooks work papers area at the moment and go to the documents, you'll see that although the date's passed, I'm sure this is still very much going to happen. Important update, this tab will be removed on the 15th of March 2024. So it's the date that's already gone. And the tab we're on is the documents area, and basically means that, well, anything below this line, so anything in the account stuff will be still there. Everything's going to be available, but you just need to be very careful because anything in this general area here, per this note, will be deleted. Now, I don't know many people who was using this too extensively, so I don't think it's the biggest problem in the world. But for people like ourselves, we were using this as an opportunity to go in and just put our final set of accounts there. And if we were using QuickBooks to do their accounts, everything else, it was just an area to dump it in there. A nice little feature where you could annotate directly on here, for example. If I was reviewing these accounts and I thought that that was wrong or whatever it's going to be, I could quickly go here and annotate accordingly. Although, yeah, there it is, like the annotation's working now. And I could annotate it and go through from there. So, you know, cool little feature. But unfortunately, that feature is, well, the annotation's not technically gone away, but this general area has gone away. Basically meaning that we're going to have a streamlining of the work papers very, very soon. Charlie, have you started using work papers yet? We've been trying for a long time to convince you how amazing it is.
Yeah, I've not been using it very much. I played around with it a bit. I basically my team have got some spreadsheets that we've been using for years, but I very much do what I think. When I heard they were updating the work papers, I thought, well, let's wait until they've updated it, and then we'll start using it. I didn't want to teach the team two different systems when it's not a different system, but to teach them the new process when it was about to launch. So we will be using it in the next few months. It is very, very good. Is it you or our erstwhile colleague Mr. Gorey who uses this to even on bookkeeping clients who are using another rival piece of bookkeeping software still nevertheless brings, is it you? I can't remember, brings them in here to do the work papers because he likes them so much, which
in fact
that's one hell of a sort of thumbs up for the advantages of work papers, that even when the bookkeeping is elsewhere, you still use QuickBooks, buy a QuickBooks license to run the work papers.
But for us, it's so we have consistency, right? Like,
absolutely.
It just makes
which is the reason why at the moment we're still on our spreadsheets, but we will be moving over. And
I'm even looking to build in a nice little way of being able to make it even easier for people to move information from Xero to QuickBooks. So, watch this space for how that's going to work. Okay, cool. That makes sense then. So that's a nice little update, and well, more of an update so people can be aware that because it's been streamlined, make sure you haven't got anything saved. To be honest, I haven't given too much time to kind of get around there and sort it out, but definitely have a think about it and get that sorted. Now, that's going to be us trying to figure out that little update. What about the other updates? So QuickBooks Practice Manager's had a bit of an update. It's had a bit of a new glossy paint to it. If I quickly share screen again and show this one, you'll see on the screen here that we've started to get the business overview screen coming directly into QuickBooks Practice Manager. So the idea is that you will be able to see all the information you've got there. So when you uncategorize expenses, income, funds overdue, you can see the bank transactions volume as well, so you can see how many transactions they've had. I mean, this is demo accounts, there's not much showing here obviously, but you can see how useful that could be, and a bit of a financial overview as well, so you can see profit and loss coming through, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and some useful links to be splitting there. Now, the exciting bit is this bit, right? Like, this is the bit where we have an opportunity maybe to have a holistic view of all your clients and see how many transactions they've had in the last month. So how many transactions you might need to maybe bill them, for example. You can see if there's any problems happening in their file, and hopefully you can react to them and put it from there. What do you think? First impressions then of, first of all, even having access to this data on all of your clients just through QuickBooks
Oh,
practice
I think
management?
that's hugely important. I mean, one of the things that I find such a waste of time is going in and out of individual clients saying, is there stuff here I need to look at, and constantly.
Yeah.
So to have one holistic view across all your clients is interesting. One of the things I was looking at recently, I came across one company at Fab, and I got a call last week from another company in the same space that run software that interrogates. So they're not practice management tools, but they're data analysis tools that will automatically highlight for you in a single dashboard across all your clients, whatever set of criteria you want. So it'll, I guess, pick up some of those things you've just highlighted there. As I say, that they're not practice management tools, but having a single dashboard where you can see, I don't know, how many unreconciled bank transactions there are, when the bank was last reconciled, debtor days are getting too great on one of your clients, things like that. If cash flow is running low, all those sorts of things. To have a single dashboard to show you all that is hugely important. Now, whether that's in a practice management tool or it's in a data analysis tool, but it doesn't really matter. But having that is very valuable. So the fact that QuickBooks have a practice management tool built in as part of, I mean, you've got to pay extra for it, but it's part of the suite, part of the products. It certainly makes sense that they have that data level of analysis. It's I mean, I've thought for years, for example, I don't know if it does this yet, but it would be nice to be able to see on one dashboard which of your clients' VAT returns are due. Where are we now? End of March. Which of your clients' VAT returns are due for the 7th of April? And have they been filed yet? Now, the only way I know that at the moment is either by going into each file in QuickBooks or by keeping a practice management tool that I manually update. That should be visible. I mean, in my view, even if you don't have the QuickBooks practice management tool, in my view, it should be visible as a column on the front page of the QBOA screen. That kind of stuff should be there for everybody. But presumably this new dashboard that you've just shown will do things like that too. Maybe it won't. I don't know. It certainly will do in time, I'm sure.
I know that's what their aim was, wasn't it? It was to have that opportunity, because I mean they've got the advantage of being able to connect to the accounts production software as well, right? And the tax return software. So not only would you be able to see what VAT returns are filed, but it should, in theory, one day down the line, be able to go, oh, you filed your tax return, let's complete that task and move on.
Exactly.
I mean, being in the practice management solutions, definitely where this day needs to be, or is going to make the most impact, right? Because in theory, that's where you're doing task management. That's where you're keeping an eye on your clients. So fingers
the interesting
crossed.
thing is, I mean, I was talking to you, maybe it was at Fab actually. We were talking about the company secretarial software, Inform Direct.
Yes.
Was yours? Yeah, which you and I both like. Anybody out there looking for good company secretarial software that's very inexpensive? I won't say cheap because it's a fantastic product, but Inform Direct is brilliant. And you were talking about something that I'd sort of vaguely noticed before, but hadn't paid any attention to. So I finally actually set it up over the weekend just gone, and that has the ability to connect. You put in your agent services account with HMRC, and any of your companies you have an Inform Direct where you've entered a VAT number in the relevant field, it will automatically pull through when your next VAT return is due on your dashboard in Inform Direct. Now, if they can do that, and that's company secretarial software, it's not even designed as accounting software. And likewise, they can also do, I think I haven't set this bit up yet, but I think it also brings through corporation tax deadlines and things like, and possibly even income tax deadlines, all the same. So I'm not quite sure about that. But anyway, it certainly brings through corporation tax deadlines as well. That's the sort of stuff that QuickBooks should be doing, because that's where you're doing the bookkeeping. And if a relatively small, I mean, they're big in the world of company secretarial work, but if compared to Intuit, they're a small company, Inform Direct, and if they're able to do that, it seems crazy to me that Intuit don't have that, and they should have had it years ago.
And it is something Xero has from memory. They have a Xero, I think they call it File HQ or HQ or something like that, and in there that you can see a list of all your clients and when the next VAT return's done. So yeah, it is something that Xero have, and would love to see come forward. But good first start. What my only my only fear of this implementation that's already there, I'll bring it back on screen again so we can see it, is I'm not 100% confident that the software can then do enough with this data, if you know what I mean. Because
Mm.
in my mind, what I would love more than anything else is to get away from tasks based on just purely dates that we're date driven that we have now, and have a more dynamic task solution, right? This client goes up the list, even though maybe it's got further away in terms of needing to have a task done, but goes up the list because the criteria is hit X, Y, Z, it's hit a critical button, or, you know, we can have some sort of algorithm to really
Mm.
say which clients we should be looking after first,
Yeah.
compared to just traditionally, well, that one's got 3 months to wait, so I'll go with the one that's only 1 month to wait, because that's all the data we really have, right, to make a judgment call.
Except that if this one's got 3 or even 6 months until its deadline, but we've got 100% of the information, let's just get it
Yeah,
filed.
yeah, exactly. That's what we should be like basing our work on, right?
Absolutely.
I just don't think this has, well, in its current form, I don't think it has enough to be able to do that, like to get the algorithm working and all that sort of stuff. So fingers crossed.
I think they're doing a good job. I think they're getting there. They, you know, they've only launched the practice management tool. When was it? I can't remember when they launched it. Anyway, it was only a few months ago.
Yeah, what, 6 months.
So it is very new. And you know, the fact that they are devoting money and you know, and development time and so on to bring in this product, and the fact that, you know, they've got these new additions now, they clearly are working to develop this. So, you know, I give them a positive review on that. I think it's, you know, they're going the right direction.
And the most exciting thing about all of this is the fact that this data was put in without you having to connect to that client. So I don't know if you've, like, the site, I think I know what software you mean. And I think the only downside about that software is you have to individually connect each client, right? You have to go through and connect the one and go, right, client A, this is the client A's QuickBooks file. Client B, this is client B's.
Right. Okay.
With this one, you just sign in and all that data of every client that you've got in your, what do you call it, gets there. And at one point, there was a bit of a, not concern, but a bit of a, could that even be possible? And they've made it possible. So that's got to be a good thing, right? That's got to be, yeah, that's a massive competitive advantage over any other solution out there.
Yes, to some extent. Though one of the things I've always said about the cloud, and one of the things that I like about the cloud, is APIs make it so much easier to connect different software tools together. That was much harder in the old desktop days. I mean, if you know, if you focus too much on saying, oh well, it's better in one product, you're back to the old days of Iris and Digitor and all those things, where you get so sucked into having one product that does everything, that it means that you're not looking for best of breed in each different area. You maybe have a, you know, slightly worse product that does company secretarial, or that does tax returns, or whatever it is, because the rest of it is good. And the other thing is, when you're all in with everything, it means it's easier for them, as Iris and Sage have done, particularly Iris have done, where they pissed a lot of people off. They just ramp their prices up, and it becomes very hard to leave when you've got everything in one product. So I very much like having different tools that can talk to each other.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're right. I think we've got to maintain that fact that we're actually in a better position than we have been, haven't we? And I suppose we're fighting over little imperfections here and there. But is it an imperfection if it's, you know, how much time would it save? Do you go down your client list to connect each one versus just signing in? I suppose that's.
But you're only doing that once, though, presumably. You're not having to.
Depends how stable the connection is, right? Like there are certain connections on there we have to reconnect every 3 months or something. So it'll be interesting to see how stable they are going forward. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a upcoming QuickBooks Innovations in 2024 product update over in the US. So we're not guaranteed all of these to come through, and I'm not going to go through every single one, but there were ones that caught my eye. So first of all, coming to QuickBooks Online Accountant was a role-based access to your client's books. So this means you can assign access to clients' financial data and segregate duties among your firm's team members. So you can confidently delegate tasks and manage services such as accounts payable, bill pay, accounts receivable, payment, and payroll. So first question is, A, do you like that feature? And B, do you think it should come to UK?
Well, so is this presumably it's offering similar roles or similar breakout of roles that we've had for some time, that when you add users within the client, it's now bringing it into the accountant team.
Yeah.
It's certainly less important. I mean, the reason why you do it for the client is, the main reason is confidentiality. Maybe they're allowed to raise sales invoices, but you don't want them seeing costs. And even there, I think the granularity is so limited. It's you know, I would love to see the best product, not the best bookkeeping product, but the best bookkeeping product for granularity of permissions I've ever seen was QuickBooks, which I looked at many years ago. I wasn't a massive fan of it as a bookkeeping product, but the granularity of its user permissions was astounding. I mean, it really was fantastic, and very, very, very useful to be able to say, you know, maybe, for example, even with granularity within clients, maybe you can create a sales invoice, but you can't run reports on them, or you can create them and go back and look at them and run a report, but you can't edit them, things like that. Whereas in QuickBooks, the granularity is you can either see and do whatever you like in sales, or you can't. You can see and do what you like in purchases, or you can't. So it's not very restricted. But adding it to the accountant's user base, fine. I can't see a massive use, because the majority of users you're going to have are trained bookkeepers and accountants within the firm, and so you don't have confidentiality. Very rarely will you have confidentiality issues, because they're not working in the client. In terms of training, they're not going to, hopefully, you wouldn't be employing them screwing up. You know, if they only know how to raise sales invoices, they're not going to screw up by going in and mucking around with a purchase invoice. So I don't think it's crucially important. Fine that it's there. Nothing wrong with that. Quite nice. I certainly wouldn't see it as a priority, though.
Okay. I can't argue too much on that. I feel like it's one of those that a lot of people have been asking for, and I've been a bit confused to why. There are some niche cases out there, right? There are sometimes. For example, if your own firm is there and you just want to let your team members go into your firm so they can do sales invoice and everything else. As in,
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But then maybe then what you would do, because you wouldn't have many people, you would probably then want to add them as a normal, you know, as a client user.
Yeah.
If that's what you did. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to my firm's books, the only person access to that is me. So
yeah, it's just awkward then for maybe kind of their workflow, right? Because they've got to sign in a different way and everything. But yeah, you're right. That's
true. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, but ultimately, there's a few niche cases where maybe this is going to be really useful. But yeah, it's an option to go there. I'm not sure about the idea about confidently delegate task and manage services, but hey, that's what they're saying is a selling point for that one. QuickBooks Online's not being forgotten about. Sorry, QuickBooks Online Advanced isn't being forgotten about. So we need some new features on there, don't we, to really push it. Recommended and custom KPIs, receive KPI tracking recommendations, and create your own KPI scorecard. I'm going to talk about that more in a moment. But what about this one? Third-party API for projects. Seamlessly integrate QuickBooks Online Advanced with third-party project managed apps to combine comprehensive project management capabilities and get a concise view of business performance. That, what do you think? A, do you like the idea? And B, should it be coming to the UK?
That sounds very interesting, and yes, it should come to the UK. I'd like to know more about what it's capable of doing, but it certainly sounds like a very useful feature. Do you know more about how it would work? What exactly is it will do? Or do we not know yet?
We've not got anything yet. We're just being told that that's what that's on in the pipeline.
I mean, these are the sorts of things that, you know, where I see an advantage of QBO Advanced. I mean, it's for the slightly bigger clients where you need more complex features than just running the books, doing the VAT, and doing the year-end accounts and so on. For businesses like that, where you really need to have, you know, to manage these different projects, manage things a lot more closely, then a tool like that, I think, is hugely valuable. And yeah, it should come to the UK, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how capable it is, and we'll see what options there are. But this could be this should be what we need, right? What excites me the most about this is they're adding more API options. That's five years old at this point since the last API came out, so that's got to be a good sign that they're going to open that up and
Yeah.
give more options to people. So yeah, is it okay that it's only to QuickBooks Advanced? I suppose that kind of, it needs stuff to push people over there, right? And it should be the more.
Yeah, and I think that's the sort of feature that I absolutely can see why that would only go to advanced.
Yeah.
There's some other features that are in advanced. Can't think any right immediately off the top of my head, but there have been one or two features I've seen in advanced. I thought really that should be rolled out lower down, but this one I see. Yeah, project management stuff like that is a bigger, more complex thing, and that's I think what advanced is all about.
Yeah, awesome. I do think as well, like done properly, this could be really, really powerful. Like even for accounting firms, like we don't use projects in ours properly, but this could make it worthwhile, because if you can connect it to your already existing project tools and everything else, maybe there's an opportunity to want to talk. Maybe this is where people like Client Engager could put their information straight into your QuickBooks or something. You know, there's an opportunity like that, isn't there?
And of course, let's remind viewers of this podcast that as of now, or if they haven't already got it, they will very soon, every accountant's version of QuickBooks is being upgraded from Plus to Advanced. I'm not sure if they've completed that rollout yet, but if you haven't got it yet, it very soon will be Advanced. So you have a free copy of Advanced for your own practice use.
Has yours been updated?
It's a good question. I can't remember. I don't think it has. So no, I don't think it has.
That's a shame. I mean, I was already.
Yeah, I use Advanced. I've got one client with Advanced, so that's the one when I want to look at Advanced features. I've got one client that has it.
I'd never used the Your Firm book, so I've always just used a license. So I was able to update mine, but that's a me problem more than anything else for not going down that route. Cool. All right. A few more updates that we've got. Multiple approvers to workflow, that's gone live now. So if you do use workflows in QuickBooks Online Advanced, you can now add multiple approvers. Yeah, brilliant. More control in your QuickBooks app online area. So in the apps ecosystem area, you now have more options in there, which includes finally the opportunity to disconnect. So if a client's got an app that's just causing issues and making problems and all that sort of stuff, you now have the power from the apps area in QuickBooks to go in and disconnect it yourself. That's always going to be powerful, right? And that's always going to be useful. And then new KPI.
That was always there. Was that? I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at the advanced one. Yeah, I can see you got leave a review, support, and disconnect. I thought you always had that option. I'm going to look at another. Maybe not.
More control in apps connected in QuickBooks Online. Each primary admin on QuickBooks subscription can now disconnect apps. So I think it's the fact that anyone can do it now. Right, okay. That were connected by others using the same subscription. Yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, that's what the update is. Anyone can do it. So that's what I meant by the fact that you could finally go and stop a client's one if they've installed something, and it's causing havoc to the data. Which I'm sure you've encountered on many occasions, as have I. Yes. New KPI insight. So the KPI element starting to come to fruition, at least in the UK, in the US at the moment. So we've had some new, basically, dashboard widgets that we can make the most out of. So on our dashboards, we've been promised that we're going to get more KPI driven widgets going forward. So you remember before, there's always been, if I'll show on screen what we've always had. I say that I've lost my QuickBooks Online. There it is. Share that. Yeah, so if I was ever going to go to here and go home, I had all these fancy little widgets, and we've not had new widgets for a long time, have we? We've had profit and loss. My apps was the newest one we've had. We've got expense, got invoices, tasks, sales. But if you go customize layout and you have a look up here, there's add or remove widgets. And we have an option of adding new widgets when it wants to come through. And some of the new ones are finally live. So we've got accounts payable, accounts receivable, and mileage. So if I press save and show you here, these are the new API or KPI, should I say, that have been added into QuickBooks as of late. So you got a nice mileage one that you can keep an eye on. So that's going to give you a bit of an insight. Actually, that could be quite useful for just knowing clients have used the mileage feature, because at the moment it's really difficult to know, other than go and just download the information. And we have an accounts payable and accounts receivable section as well. Now, question to you, Charlie, what KPIs are you looking forward to seeing here? Are these all the ones you wanted, or is there any more that you think they should add?
Well, I mean, I see they've got cash flow forecast in there. I'm just playing with it now.
The problem is that's
it's not a very good one.
It's been retired, isn't it? So yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure at the moment. Are they so much KPIs rather than, or exactly. Not really KPIs so much as just, I suppose they sort of are KPIs, but I mean, to have it kind of reminds me of where Futurely started. In the very early days of Futurely, the basic, I mean, it's grown and become a much more powerful product. But some of the basic tools they had, I think QuickBooks was very easily put in here. And I think they should look at what tool. I don't use Fathom things so much, but they should look at some of those and bring in some of the basic functionality of those tools, because I think that those products do it very well, and some of the basic ones I don't think would be too complicated to add.
Yeah, I think you're right. But one of the things we are getting, and then one of the reasons why we should be excited about the new report section, even though the new reports view is a little bit jarring to say the least, and kind of a bit marmitey, and people are not 100% happy about the change. But the reason we should embrace the change is because the idea is that this planner here, all this data here is now being driven from the report section. So that means going forward, we will be able to create our own report, our own dashboard, our own widget almost, and then we'll be able to put our own data in here. So that should give us an opportunity to really, put the right data in front of your clients that you want them to put into, right? Because for a long time I've been an advocate of putting things like director's loan accounts directly here, just so the client can see it and see it there and stuff like that. So going forward, and then the final update before we go on to our big part we want to talk about.
I mean, just to highlight, sorry to interrupt, but that's a key thing that's worth highlighting, is when the director's loan account goes overdrawn or is at risk of going overdrawn. Exactly. So that would be a good KPI to stick in there to remind clients to take care and maybe either not take those extra drawings out yet, or look at whether there's scope to vote another dividend.
Yeah, and that bit where we talked about dynamic tasking, well, if we could get a notification or something, or a task created because our client's gone overdrawn on director's loan, that's huge, right? That's what we need to be on top of. That's our role as the business advisor / accountant or bookkeeper. Okay, and then I feel like they were listening to you, Charlie, because they've now given the opportunity to assign more tasks with custom roles in QuickBooks Online Advanced. You can now, custom roles now include these 3 options: control access to more types of transactions, such as invoices, estimate, bills, expenses, purchase orders, and checks. It's American, but yeah. Custom roles now include these 3 options: more control on what team members can do with transactions like view only, create, edit, or delete, and more specific access to task area, including bank feeds, reconciliations, registers, chart of accounts, journal entries, and online bill pay. In addition, a business owner or an accountant can control who can view, create, edit, or delete transactions and access accounting features such as reconciliation, registers, and chart of accounts. So it's like they just heard you and just quickly implemented that one.
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah. Didn't you say that's what Clearbooks was doing?
Yeah, it's not quite as sophisticated, but yes, absolutely. It's you've got the view, create, edit, delete. It's been there a little while, hasn't it, in advanced? And remind me, this is only in advanced. It's not in the other SKUs, but it's certainly a very useful feature. You got I'm looking at it now. So, for example, in sales, you've got the ability to turn on and off. Also, invoices, estimates, sales receipt payments, etc. And each of them you can choose whether you view, create, edit, or delete.
Yeah, so you've got that granularity now for individual ones. Yeah. You can decide exactly. I still think they need to go one step further, and you should choose what bank they can view and look at. I still think that's a big.
that's yeah, for some people that would be very useful. Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like that's one where they've just got to nail that bit and be able to put that through.
Yeah.
I did see an update before we move on, which I'm a little bit upset about, if I'm honest. I think USA have beat us to the punch. USA have now just announced that Chase bank statements now automatically import to QuickBooks Online. So they, you know how we've been wanting this feature for 5 years now because of open banking. Chase now allow US bank account customers just to automatically get their bank statements, and they haven't said anywhere here about the 15-minute window. It looks like it's just connect your bank account online, enroll, and then you get to import the statements.
What's the 15-minute window?
So in the UK, we've got options to do it with Lloyd's banking. Is it Lloyd's? With one
Well,
caveat,
I
and that caveat is
go on.
Yeah, the one caveat is 15-minute authorization window. So your client has to authorize.
Oh, you need the client to authorize it within 15. Yeah, I mean, so the authorization needs to be, as it should just be part of the overall authorization. That
exactly.
At the moment,
that's the Lloyd's thing,
right? Banking, the client sets it up first, and then thereafter, we as the accountants can go in and renew it every 90 days, which is fantastic, and that's saved so many hours. But yes, I mean, it was about more than a year ago, I think, they had the ability to bring in statements. I think I had it on 1 or 2 clients with 1 or 2 banks, and I don't remember which ones. I think it once brought in a statement. But I've never seen it since. And it's if it's technically possible, and clearly it was because it happened, I don't understand why it's not happening all the time. Because I don't need to see the statement every month, but I do always want to see the statement at the year end, just so when I close off the year end accounts, at least, I mean, we got some reassurance at the bank feed if it says it matches, but to have the statement at the year end to keep with your working papers is incredibly useful, and I have to keep chasing clients for that. Yeah.
Just so we know, we're already saying that we're happy to give periodic account statements. That's in our current consent now that we do for every client, every account, and we're already saying we're happy to do it. So
so it should be bringing them in, given that it's technically possible.
Yeah, but we will see. Right, okay. I think we've covered the news enough. Some good updates, some updates to keep an eye on. Stuff to be there. Public service announcement for making sure that you move those documents, and everyone will be good. Now, let's talk about one of QuickBooks's, in my opinion, best app. I don't think there's many people argue. There's only a set amount of apps that people really do keep promoting time after time again, and we're going to be talking about Apron. So Apron's been quite busy, haven't they? Haven't they, Charlie? They've added some new features. Do you want to explain to people what they've added? I get it all set up.
Yeah, well, try first a little bit of background for people who don't know who Apron are. So Apron have been around for a couple of years, and they sort of properly launched their payment products just over a year ago. I don't know if it was sort of launched before Accountex last year, but certainly they were pushing it very hard at Accountex April 2023. And so it's a bills payment tool when it's initially launched. The idea being that if you had your bills in QuickBooks, and you could get them into QuickBooks either by using QuickBooks' own receipt capture tool, or you might use Dext, or you might use Auto Entry or HubDoc or whatever to get your bills into QuickBooks. You then connected it to Apron. Apron would look at the creditors list in QuickBooks, and it would then bring into Apron not only the list of creditors, but it would bring the image that was already in QuickBooks into Apron. It would then extract the bank details and allow you to make payments, and it did it very, very, very efficiently, simply, and quickly. And I've spoken before how, I mean, the first time after having a demo a year ago and set it up from going from nowhere, I set my accounting firm up, set up my first client, and made the first payment, and that entire process took me less than 15 minutes. It was that simple. Anyway, so what Apron have done over the last year is said, well, hang on, we're already doing the OCR and we're doing it brilliantly. Why don't we do the receipt capture side of it as well? So instead of sending your invoices to Dext or Auto Entry, HubDoc, whoever, you might as well just put it straight into Apron, and you have a one-stop shop. So you have your receipt capture and payments in one place. And they launched that at Fab a couple of weeks ago. And I've been testing it prior to that as well. And I have to say, it is absolutely fantastic. It is, I mean, I've used, well, I haven't used Dex. I used Receipt Bank, its previous incarnation in the very early days, and got frustrated with them. I've used Auto Entry and have become increasingly frustrated with them, especially since they got bought by, who bought them? Sage, was it? I've used HubDoc, I thought it was terrible. I've used all sorts of tools. And the way that Apron does it is, well, it's magic. I mean, it really feels like magic. It's easy to use. It's fun to use. It's incredibly fast. I'm staggered. I emailed in. I mean, you can send the receipts in by email or drag and drop, or even now by WhatsApp. But I was tested one a few weeks ago, and I sent about 25 invoices in one email. I attached 25 PDF invoices, and they were ready for processing within seconds. I mean, you send just one in on its own, it's ready in under a second. It's extracted all the data, it's ready to post. When you post an invoice to a supplier and you code it to a particular nominal account, the next time you get a bill from that supplier, it's already coded to that same nominal account. Obviously, you can change it. They've got at the moment a sort of basic set of rules. So you can add a sort of basic for each contact that exists within Apron. You can add some basic rules on VAT and nominal coding and all the rest of it. But it is far and away the best receipt capture tool I have ever used. It is fantastic. Yeah,
I think as well, it's just so simple to use. And that's where you go back to that first thing you said there, but it took 15 minutes from start to finish. That's you as someone who's an accountant and been using software your whole life, and all that. You throw this in front of any client, and I've yet to find a client who's gone, I'm not sure what to do here. Every time it's just intuitive, isn't it? They just pick it up and go, okay, I've got to do this. Oh, yep, I'll do that. Yep, done. And their whole process of getting that bill payment done, it's just so much more seamless. And that's what kind of attracted us to it. It was that whole idea of it being so simple to use and go forward. So I think one thing to do is just showcase some of the features. So this here on the right hand side is let me zoom it in so it's a little bit bigger. On the right hand side is the document area. The idea is that we have loads of ways of uploading. So let's just showcase uploading this one here. I've got 4 invoices here. I've got one that's a JPEG, one's a PDF, another one's a JPEG, but a receipt, another one's a PDF, right? Grab all 4 of these, dump them in here. It doesn't matter what type it is. It says uploading 4 just there. I press continue. Process in just a moment. And 1 of them, 2 of them. It's ridiculous, right? 3 of them, 4 of them, 4 of them's done now, right? And yes, there's some bits I've got to complete and everything else.
And but 2 of them are all ready to publish.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I believe is there a feature I could auto publish if I wanted to?
Not sure they've got auto publish yet, and I'm never a fan of auto publish, but it's
okay, but then maybe there's I think I saw something in the edit contact. Yeah, there's an auto publish button.
Oh, there is. Okay, you're right.
So
yes,
potentially that's something looking at later. But yeah, 2 of them are ready to go, and they're there. But it's the speed of it, right? It's how quick and easy that is to do. From there, you have the option to go in. So let's go to this Virgin Media one. Let's see why there's in fact, let's figure out why there's an I. Oh, all right. Okay. So the only reason it's stopping me is because I've already used this one before. But I get to choose if it's a bill. I can put some comments on there, which can go to the customer if I need to, and kind of put that information in there.
Which is, if you go to the comments, if you go to the comments a moment, because this isn't I quite like. So just type anything, any old random text in there. Just comment 1 or something, doesn't matter. But
because I can show the other person. So is it? Yeah, you just post it like that. Yeah,
and then click the up button. Yeah,
that's that. And I can.
Now it's added your name, it's added the date, and it's added the time. So everybody else who has access to this client's bookkeeping feature, receipt capture feature, they call it bookkeeping on the menu, can see who made this comment. And it's I mean, I've been testing this because the bookkeeping side of it, I'd say, is only properly launched a couple of weeks ago. but I've been testing it for longer. So I created a bunch of users for myself, pretending, you know, some as me as the accountant, some users I've created where I'm maybe the administrative user at the client, maybe as, you know, senior person at the client, and other users I've created where I'm just an ordinary staff member at the client who maybe uploads invoices but has no right to approve anything. And you can see all that. There you go. You can see who wrote what and when. It's fantastic. It's the only other receipt capture tool that I've been using that has some sort of approval process in it has been Pleo, which is primarily a prepaid card tool, but 3-4 years ago, Pleo launched an invoice receipt capture side to it as well, and it was sort of all right when they launched it, and they haven't really developed it at all since then. But you can have but anybody writes a comment in there, it doesn't say who wrote the comment, doesn't say when they wrote the comment. You've got no idea who did what and when. So this, I think, is fantastic. The ability for us to ask a client what it's about, or the client just, you know, to tell us, oh, this is this is an invoice for the conference we went to on XYZ. It's brilliant. Really, really powerful.
Yeah, it's so good, isn't it? Is there a way of kind of asking that, like letting the client know?
At the moment, at the moment, I don't think there is something that highlights to an individual person that that there's a message for them. I think you said that there's now an app on Android. I've got an iPhone, but there's not one on there. So, and I think they were talking about developing apps. So if there's an app, I imagine that would be the obvious place, because I think you want to cut down on emails. You don't really want an email coming every time somebody does something in Apron or any other tool. But if you've got the app, and the app then has a notification that when you pop up on your phone, there's 3 notifications, you know, from someone, let's say it's for the client, they open up the app in their phone, somebody else in the firm has sent them something, the accountant sent them something, they can look at them all in one place and see them, then that I think would be useful. So if you could at somebody here, and then when then in their app there's a notification badge, then that becomes very powerful. I'm not a fan of being emailed every time something needs doing, because you get the email when you're not working on that particular project, so it's annoying, and then you've got to remember to go back to that email again.
100%. It's accurate as well. It's found the £4.80. It's found the 80p. It's put all that through. I press the publish button. Boom. I am now. We can go back to that other license over here. I quit it, unfortunately. But yeah, if I hadn't quit it, if I was in that client still, it might send me straight there. But yeah, it would have taken me directly.
But it's there within a second. I mean, it is fast.
As you'd imagine. Yeah, you'd imagine that.
I mean, auto entry. Not to dump on a Sage product, but you know, but let's dump on it. I mean, auto entry at times, first of all, it can take half an hour or an hour or more before it's even analyzed the invoice. And when you hit publish, I mean, it's hit or miss whether it will actually publish it at all. And when it does publish it, it can take quite a while for it to get to QuickBooks. This is a joy in comparison, a complete joy. It just works every time, and it's almost instant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, 100%. We also have some form of multi-currency happening here. So it's picked up the fact that it was US dollars and USD and put that through there. So, you know, we're getting multiple currency. It's not just one.
Well, the great thing about the multi-currency,
it's just,
I mean, if I can interrupt you, I mean, back to the payment side of it, which they've been doing for over a year, is they will pay, they don't just pay in sterling, they will pay overseas in multiple currencies, and their exchange rates are, they claim, and when I've looked at a couple of them, they were right. Their exchange rates are comparable to the likes of Wise, for example, who a lot of people will use, and they'll have a Wise account, and they'll top up a wallet in Wise, and then pay things from Wise. And the problem for that is it's just another bank account to manage. Plus, you've got to, for a business that's short on cash, they've got to take some of their desperately needed cash out of their main bank account, stick it into Wise, because maybe they've got a payment to make in a few days and it takes time for it to clear and all of that. Well, here, you can pay it in multi-currency, you can pay it to multiple countries, and you're getting it at a much, much cheaper exchange rate. And, the costs are significantly lower. I mean, I've got a client who pays a lot of overseas things, well, not so many that it's worth them having a wise account because they haven't got the time to do it. But they're paying sometimes £17 per transaction plus a bad FX rate. Well, so they're going to save a fortune using this, a fortune.
Yeah. And you mentioned about the app, so let's quickly showcase the app as well, so that people can see it. It's the first time you've seen the app, isn't it?
I've not seen the app yet because I'm on an iPhone and it's not out on the iPhone yet. I'm guessing.
So here's the app. Yeah, it's going to be, isn't it? Let's say we want to take a copy of this one. That's what we're going to do. So let's switch over to the app itself. Brilliant. All right, so I'm now live showing this app here. Really straightforward. All I did was do I like the sign in as well. The sign in isn't a password or anything. It's just a code to your thing, isn't it? I want to take a photo. It's literally as you'd expect. Take a photo. Let's try and get that into view as best we can. Although that was a bit unfair because let's retake that one because I couldn't see the total. But let's get a photo of that one like that, as you'd expect. Press the plus button. Say if it's a personal expense or not. So the idea of personal expense is more about being refunded, isn't it? And getting expense.
Yeah, exactly.
It's management more than anything else. Just say, I don't know, business meal. Press that. Done. And this is me as this user, this QuickBooks chat user. Although I don't know how to get rid of my. This is a me problem because I don't know how to use Android. Press submit. And just like that, you should see. Oh, maybe this is why you don't do live demos. I think it's because I pressed personal expense. Let's try it again. All right, it was working. Let me try again. But yeah, but when it was working brilliantly. Let's try this one here. Take a photo. Let's press that. Press submit. Boom. There we go. That one submitted straight away. I don't know why the other one didn't. But just again, it just takes you directly there. Really straightforward. You can go back and see something I've already submitted here. So there's that one I've just done. Go through from there. Like, yeah, at the moment it's very basic. It's just doing there, but that's all you need, isn't it, for a feature like this? That's all.
And then that presumably then shows up on the desktop app. That will show up there in the. I don't know if you're in the same. You may not be in the same account, but
yeah,
that will then show up there for. Yeah, exactly. Something I've been playing around with actually. I was actually playing around with earlier today, because they've just launched. I mean, if I just show you something on here, if you go to the settings for. Let's just show people this because I think this is really powerful. So you go to the settings at the bottom and you add new members. So here's you can add new members.
Which in other words, users.
Yeah, you can edit. So yeah, or you can just create. We can add one without going all the way. But if you click on add member at the top, we won't go all the way of creating it. So here, so put in their email address. So leave them. Let's assume this person is a relatively junior member of staff at the client. So we're not going to tick external bookkeeper.
Yeah.
We've got their name in there. The phone number optional, that's if you want to use the new WhatsApp submission. We'll leave that blank. We continue. And this next screen is the bit that got me excited earlier today. So here, you've got the choice of standard or admin, but let's leave it as standard. So here you've got 3 sets of permissions: payments, bookkeeping, admin. Admin is about having control over the app, so we'll leave that off. If you the key thing for here is bookkeeping permissions. So you've got, let's say if you turn payment permissions off. So if you just want to give, you've got a member of staff at the client, and what you want is you want them to be able to submit invoices to Apron, and you want them to be able to see, are my invoices in Apron? Have they been paid? Have they been approved? Have somebody else done something with them? So here, if you click on own items, visibility own items rather than all items. So what this does, this says that any invoice that's sent in by this person, I'll explain in a minute how we know it was sent in by them, or at least on their behalf, they can only see their own invoices. So you have no risk that, for example, some of my clients might have subcontractors and you don't want the staff knowing what the company's paying subcontractors to do similar work, for example.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
So we don't have to create this as a test one, but you can see here. So what this does is it means that anything that this test user sends in, they can only see their own invoices. Now, the way that if we cancel out of this and we look at in the bottom. Yeah, there you go. If you go back to settings.
Oh yeah, in settings, yeah,
and then go to back on members again. Sorry, yeah, back to members where we were, and then click the dots next to QuickBooks Chat, and then you've got edit direct email. So here, this guy and you can edit these email addresses. This guy has his own direct email address to Apron that's specific for them. There's also a generic email address for the company, which means that if they then, it is not the sender's email, this is the recipient email. So they can use whatever email account they want, they can use their personal one, their business one, whatever they want, but they email it to, whatever you call QuickBooksChat@in.getapron.com. It will go into this company file, and this company file will know that it was the QuickBooks Chat user that sent it in, and therefore it marks that person as the owner, if you like, of that invoice, which means that they can then see their invoices, and they can't see the invoices unless you want them to. You can set them to not only see their own, but you can limit it so they only see their own invoices, and then they can track what's happening with their own invoices. They can make comments. The CEO or their line manager or whoever can go in and add on the comments. Hey, QuickBooks Chat, what was this expense for? Ask questions. They can get answers all in that chat screen, those comment screen. I think this is incredibly powerful. And as I said, I was playing around with this today, and this new feature I think is the last sort of bit that I need to I think get me away from auto entry and the other tools I've been using. I'm going to play with it a bit more, but I think it's now going to enable me it's already doing what most of my clients need, but I've got a couple of clients where they need to have the ability to sort of approve things and check things where there's multiple staff involved, and this is the last stage I think in that now. I think it's going to be absolutely perfect for those clients. Really, really powerful.
And I know it's not the only feature that matters, but when you were using auto entry, how long were you roughly waiting between things? It wasn't forever, was it?
Occasionally. Occasionally. I mean, this sounds exaggerated, but it isn't. There were times when I would do stuff at the end of the day. Occasionally I would do something myself. My bookkeepers are finished. Client rang me up. Oh, I need to get something in. I just want to see what the numbers would be like with this stuff in it. There'd be maybe 10 invoices, not very many as that. And it'd be 6 o'clock. And I'd say, okay, fine, I'll do it myself. And I'd go back in an hour later. I'd go off and have some food, come back an hour, hadn't been done. And something wouldn't get through till the next morning. And it's just unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable.
And we saw how quick this was. Like,
it's a second or two. I mean, it's incredibly fast. Yeah. Really, really powerful.
I've not had a proper play around with this yet, but this unreconciled transaction is clever.
New. Yes, I've been having a chat with them about this. This is going to be amazingly powerful. It's not there yet, but they're very close to it, as witnessed by the fact that it's already on the menu. So the idea here is, and this is a problem that I've had for a long time with clients, where getting my clients to send their invoices in to whether it's auto entry or Dex, whatever tool they're using, or QuickBooks' own receipt capture, before they've paid it. Number of times they're paying invoices, either because they're just on standing orders or direct debits, or because they just got an email. The clients emailed them again. Their suppliers emailed them again and said, hey, you haven't paid this invoice. You've got to be paid by tomorrow. I'm going to sue you. They just go off and pay it, but still don't send the invoice off to auto entry or whatever. And it drives us mad where we see payments and no invoices. Well, what this tool will do, and when I was talking to them, there's a couple of different ways that it may work, and I don't know quite which one's going to be the final version. But I think what's going to happen is when we see a bank payment for which we have on the bank feed here in QuickBooks, for which we haven't got an invoice, we can code it to a particular nominal. The idea is we'll code it to a particular nominal account. And what this will do in Apron is it will look at all transactions on that nominal account and allow us to message the client within Apron and say, dear client, these are the payments for which we haven't got invoices. Can you upload an invoice specifically again? So don't send it by email to us. Don't just send it generically into Apron or whatever, but send it specifically to link to this particular payment. That will save so much time. Again, it gets us away from email correspondence, which is the most inefficient way of corresponding about particular features in a software product. If you've got something that needs fixing in a software product, you want to ask the questions and get the answers in the product. It's much more efficient. So I cannot wait for this little extra tool to be fully rolled out. Oh, you've got something there already.
Yeah. So at the moment,
you've seen something I haven't seen. That's good. Wow.
So at the moment, I'm cheating a little bit. I've taken the file, what was on here, and I've just basically downloaded it. There'll be a more elegant way going forward, but at the moment it's download from Excel off here.
Right. Okay. Fine. Yes. Right.
Yes. And then from here we can do it. They've definitely got more elegant ways that are coming. But the idea was, have you got a receipt? Yeah, and then.
That's right. Yes. So yes, they've launched the ability to download and upload, and they are bringing in the feature where it's completely seamless over API.
Yeah, and then the idea would be that if I was to go over, I can't remember what I did with the other one now. I've got so many things open. If I go to my other apron, this is me as the other guy. So this is me. Blue means I'm the QuickBooks chap. I can go to my unreconciled reconciliation, and I've got a question, and I've been asked to put it here, and really they want an upload. So let's say that's the right receipt.
And as you can see, you drag and drop it directly in the right place. It's fantastic.
Yeah, uploaded. There we are. It's not uploaded yet, but yeah. Then the idea was that you're having that interaction with a client, aren't you? And you're pushing them backwards and forwards with what's going on there. And yeah, it's exactly what we need, really. Interested to see what happens with this next, like later down the line, like what they can do with that. Like, is that going to have receipt OCR technology and all that lot built into there? Don't know. But for now, at least we've got the opportunity to kind of know that we've got a little bit of a workflow to ask for those missing questions, right? And they come through and we can see it from here.
Absolutely. I mean, to answer that question, I mean, I think it's going to be processed exactly the same way as the rest of it is, surely. So it will OCR it in exactly the same way that everything else is.
Well, at the moment, it's kind of stuck here, isn't it? And I suppose, yeah. So at the moment, the transaction's there, and it's up to us then to kind of go back to QuickBooks and assign it then, or attach it, or whatever we need to do, right? Unless it's maybe
I don't know yet, but yeah.
But yeah, if they had that more streamlined connection, expect it to be there. At the moment, it's not going to be there. Actually, CSV filed it in, right? So that would be
exactly. Yeah, no, they're bringing an API connection to do all of that without having to download and upload. That's coming very soon. Yeah,
but we need.
But I think once it's connected, it will do this. It's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and like you said, the cool thing about all this is, yes, you've got all these features coming through, but then you just jump to the pay button, and you've got then access to the whole payment functionality as well, of literally going in, selecting the one, pay the bill, go for the plan, go for that, ding, 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 and off to the races you go. It's just going to make the whole process so much easier, isn't it? And that's why it makes sense that they went down this situation, right? Because now they own end-to-end paying an invoice.
But here's the thing that I don't know if you or other accountants have a similar problem. The big problem that I have, and I alluded to it earlier, is that so many of my clients don't use the QuickBooks creditors ledger as a means of determining what they need to pay. They effectively keep their own creditors ledger. It may be as simple as a bunch of emails in a particular folder. These are bills I've got to pay when I've got some money, or when I get round to it. And therefore, they're making payments. We don't always get the invoices. But because Apron Pay is so much quicker and easier than my client logging into their banking app, manually typing in the sort code and account number and running a confirmation of pay check and doing all of that stuff manually, and then doing it for the next invoice, and, oh, hang on, where on the invoice is it? And hunting around the invoice, trying to find the bank details. Apron does all that automatically. So I can start to show my clients, look, we can pay those 20 bills, 50 bills, 100, however many it is you've got, in seconds, because it will OCR all those details. It will extract all the bank details. If there are any overseas ones, it will do it much, much more cheaper than your bank does it. And you can do all of that in seconds and maintain all of your approval processes that you need, and do it very, very efficiently. But we can only do that if you've sent us the invoices. So not only can we help our clients pay these things more quickly, which they're going to like, but it benefits us in turn, because it means the client is saying, there's no point me just keeping hold of these invoices in my inbox, and I'm going to get around to paying them when I get around to paying them. I'm going to send them to Apron as soon as I get them, because then my accountant can get them all processed, and I can get on and pay them through Apron much, much more efficiently. So it benefits the client and it benefits us, and it will be the final sort of piece of the jigsaw that enables me to really persuade the client to send us those invoices. Because in the past, the benefit was to us to get the invoices. The clients never saw that benefit. They just, all they saw was an accountant getting frustrated. Oh, you haven't got the invoices, and the client going, well, I don't care. I paid the supplier. They're not chasing me any longer. I don't let the accountant fix that problem. Yeah, at the quarter end when he's doing a VAT return, or the year end, or wherever. Now, the client benefits by getting us the invoices early. So what helps them dramatically helps us.
And I think you've already mentioned the WhatsApp bit. I think that's going to be an easy win for us to get people to move over, right? Because no other features offering that. And if the customer might be kind of used to sending it to their auto entry account or their Dex email account or whatever, and now we've got to tell them to now send it to their Apron account. And yes, as you said, we can change it to whatever you want it to be, also we can make it nice and fuzzy for them. But the fact that we can also offer them that WhatsApp number as well, I think a lot of people, that's going to be their preferred method, right? It's they already live in WhatsApp, and it's just an easy way. They can send it through from there, take a photo, done. They're done, right? Like, it's going to be so much easier for them. Had some live great help from Jan today, and just showing a client their free payroll payments. We've not even mentioned the payroll side of things, right? Absolutely brilliant. I'm not sure.
And that was the first use I had for a couple of my clients was paying their payroll, and one of them had about, I can't remember, 26 staff or something, and he was so excited to be able to do it all in literally in 2 clicks. He was able to pay all 26 staff. It was fantastic.
It's just great for us as a accounting firm to be able to offer that service, right? Which we can trust. Approvals all built in. Ash says it looks interesting. Yeah, Ash, definitely have a play around. It's definitely really good, really good.
Very, very good.
So I understand when you
and just to reinforce that thing, they run their confirmation, because for me when I first came across it a year ago, they hadn't got confirmation of payee set up yet, and that wasn't their fault. That was because their bank didn't have it, I don't think. And about 2 weeks later, I got a call from them going, right, we've now got confirmation of payee, and that's when I had my demo. So they run the confirmation of payee checks as you set up the payment before it's connected to the bank. So before you even send it off to the client and go, okay, here's your payroll to pay, or here's your suppliers that need paying, we as the accountants, if we want to offer this service, can run those confirmation of payee checks within Apron, and then make sure that it's correct, and then send it to the client. So the client isn't calling us and going, you keep sending all these things over, but half the things aren't paying because my bank's then telling me that the payees don't match. We've checked it in advance for the clients. So that works very, very well.
Yeah, definitely. So what I understand, you export your bank on Reconcile Bank to Excel, import that. Very excited. Yep, that's working as intended. But yeah, there's definitely going to be more exciting features of that.
To answer Kirsty, that will be through API very soon. I don't know how soon. Knowing how fast they work, it wouldn't surprise me if it was there within a month, maybe even quicker than that.
If we could put pressure on QuickBooks and they're starting to open up the APIs, let's see review transactions, right? Because at the moment, these transactions here in the for review tab aren't accessible.
No,
that's going to be a big problem for this, right? And that's going to be a huge.
Well, it's not. So the idea at the moment is through the API. That's why they're suggesting we post them. Yeah,
we've got. So all
we'll go through and we'll post them to a particular account. Yeah, which it's not a difficult thing to do. And then what Apron will do is when you put that through and you adjust it in Apron will then go into QuickBooks and change won't post a journal. It will actually change that original transaction to the place that it should have gone to based on what you've told it in an Apron. So it's a very simple way of doing it.
It's very similar to how QuickBooks inbuilt review checker idea is, isn't it? Where you put it to uncategorized expense, and it appears in this section for you. It's going to work very similar to that. It's just that Apron's going to find anything that's got uncategorized expense or whatever they decide to do, whatever they're going to decide to trigger this, and that's what's going to appear there. So exciting. But please, like, if there's any way we can get any opportunity. Let's get this data here available
Yes.
on API, because that's where
That's
we want
down
it,
for
right? We want it
interest.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then once it's attached, it goes through normal things. So yeah, my bad for not seeing that, but this is the one I uploaded, and it's already been extracted. Interestingly, couldn't find the amount for that one, but yeah, it's still learning things as we go along. But yeah, going through from there. So that's what we can see. But overall, we love it, don't we?
Oh yeah, no question. Yeah, it's the best new software I've seen in many years.
Yeah, brilliant.
Absolutely, it's just such a massive time saver.
Yeah, and it complements QuickBooks so much better than the rest of them as well. Like, I don't know if you've tried connecting it with Xero and stuff, but it just doesn't work, because
I don't have any Xero clients.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not a pretty experience. So this way round, we get an opportunity to really push for it. So yeah, fingers crossed we see some great things. And I know they were having a little chat with they're at QuickBooks the other day, last week I think it was. They were there in HQ itself, so they've got good relationships with one another. Their stand was next to each other at Fab, so they were at every single event, weren't they, from memory? Yeah, every single
oh yeah, I mean, I know I would say to people who are going to the digital accountancy show, it's in 2 or 3 weeks, isn't it? In Battersea. Yeah. So yeah, go and see them there.
Yeah,
and then order Countex in May. I'm sure they'll be at a Countex.
Anything else? Get yourself some coffee.
Yeah, they'll give you a bag of very nice coffee. So yeah,
that can't convince you. Don't know what will.
Exactly.
But that's it. That is another episode of QuickBooks Labs. We've explained to you what's coming in the world of QuickBooks. We've explained to you a great vendor and partner that works with QuickBooks themselves, and we highly recommend. Charlie, anything you want to tell people to find you, or anything coming up, anything exciting? The floor is yours.
Well, other than seeing me at the very, I've said I'll be at all the various shows, so do try and find me, say hello, whatever. You can also find me on on Facebook. I have a QuickBooks group on Facebook for any QuickBooks accountants and bookkeepers out there who want to keep up to date with certain with information or ask questions of one another. Look for QuickBooks Online Accountants group on Facebook and join up there. It's a very useful community.
Excellent. Highly recommend joining. Been some good questions lately, some cracking questions. So yeah, and more questions we have, the more little opportunity. And as you know, Accounting Council members, it's always good to get the feedback, right? It's always good to find where people are having problems and stuff, and we can feed it back. So yes, your comments are in good hands. And thank you, speaking of comments, everyone who's talked through today's show, kept us honest. Thank you very much. We are now going to press the button to say goodbye. Well, thank you very much for coming along, and we'll be here same time, same place next month for another exciting episode of QuickBooks Labs. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Bye.
As an accountant, I've got something to say. I'd like to introduce you to a whole new way to help small business clients. It's easy as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. QuickBooks Online. Accounting you can customize. Just sit back and relax. It works with over 300 apps. It can sync up with
Client Engager, NetTracker, Go Cardless, Get Paid Easily, Cresco,
You'll get paid instantly.
Swoop,
Labs tracks your
Funding Options,
QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online can save money and time.
QuickBooks Labs.